The Abyssal Rig. The ocean was a vast expanse of secrets, and Captain Elena Martinez knew it better than anyone. Her latest mission was to explore an abandoned oil rig, known as the Abyssal Rig, lost in a part of the ocean where the sun seemed afraid to shine. The fog was a constant companion, cloaking the rig in a ghostly shroud. Elena and her team of experienced salvage divers were no strangers to the deep sea's mysteries, but this rig had a reputation that made even the bravest sailors hesitate. The stories ranged from bizarre equipment malfunctions to whispers of a cursed site. Elena, a pragmatist at heart, dismissed these as mere superstitions. As they approached the rig, its towering structure loomed like a sentinel in the mist. It was a behemoth of rust and silence, abandoned and forsaken. The team geared up, their diving suits feeling more like armor against the unknown. They plunged into the murky waters, their lights piercing the darkness. The underwater world around the rig was eerily still. Fish seemed to avoid the area, and the usual sounds of marine life were conspicuously absent. Elena led her team through the shadowy corridors of the rig, each turn revealing the remnants of a hasty evacuation. Papers fluttered in the stagnant water, and personal items lay discarded. Then they found the first message. It was etched onto the wall of the control room. Not written but clawed, as if in desperation, "It hears us." The words sent a shiver down Elena's spine. She scanned the room with her flashlight, half expecting to see something lurking in the corners. As they explored further, the rig seemed to come alive with strange noises. Tools clattered in empty rooms, and distant echoes sounded like hushed conversations. The team's nerves were frayed, their earlier bravado replaced by a creeping dread. Elena tried to maintain order, but the rig's oppressive atmosphere was taking its toll. The crew started seeing shadows move in the corner of their eyes, and their equipment malfunctioned inexplicably. The deeper they ventured, the more the rig seemed to resist their presence. In the heart of the rig, they found the second message, "It's in the water." This time, the words were accompanied by a crude drawing of a serpentine creature, its form both familiar and utterly alien. It was then that they heard it, a low, guttural growl resonating through the water. The sound was everywhere and nowhere, a phantom echo in the steel graveyard. Panic set in as the team hurried back to the surface, but the rig's labyrinthine layout confounded their escape. Elena realized they were not alone. Something was there with them, something ancient and malevolent. It was the source of the rig's curse, a deep-sea entity awakened by their intrusion. They finally emerged, gasping for air, but the relief was short-lived. The sea around them roiled as if boiling, and a colossal shadow passed beneath their boat. Elena's heart raced as she stared into the depths, knowing that the creature from the depths had marked them. The journey back was silent, each member of the team lost in their own thoughts, haunted by what they had witnessed. The Abyssal Rig remained a sentinel in the fog, its secrets unspoken, a warning to those who dared to uncover the mysteries of the deep. Elena knew they had barely escaped with their lives. The ocean was vast and full of wonders, but some secrets were meant to stay hidden, lurking in the abyss, waiting in the eternal darkness. Ocean's whispers. Deep below the ocean's surface, where light struggled to reach, lay the forgotten ruins of a ship that time had forsaken. Laura, a young and ambitious marine archaeologist, led her team of researchers into this unknown abyss, driven by the allure of the ship's mysteries. The shipwreck, a colossal structure of rotting wood and rusted metal, lay like a slumbering giant on the seabed. Its history was shrouded in rumors and old sailors' tales. Laura and her team were determined to uncover its secrets, to bring its silent story to the world above. As they descended into the deep, the water around them grew colder, darker, and somehow heavier. The ship, eerily well-preserved, loomed before them, a haunting silhouette against the sparse light filtering down from above. The team began their exploration, moving through the wreck's gaping maw. Inside, the ship was a labyrinth of corridors and rooms, each holding the remnants of a long-lost era. Personal belongings lay scattered, frozen in time, and covered in a fine layer of silt. It was then that Laura first heard it, a faint whisper like a sigh carried through the water. She paused, glancing at her teammates, but their expressions told her they had heard nothing. She shook off the feeling, attributing it to the pressure of the deep. As they ventured further, Laura found an artifact, a pocket watch, remarkably preserved. But something was off. The watch was ticking, its hands moving backward. Laura's brow furrowed in confusion. How could a centuries-old watch still function, let alone reverse time? The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They were no longer dismissible as figments of her imagination. Her team heard them too, a chorus of hushed, indecipherable voices that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the ship. The atmosphere grew oppressive, as if the wreck itself was alive, breathing around them. Hallucinations began to plague the team. They saw shadows darting in the corners of their eyes, figures standing in the doorways, only to vanish when looked upon directly. One of Lara's colleagues, Mark, claimed he saw a woman dressed in period clothing, her face pale and eyes hollow, watching them from the end of a corridor. When he blinked, she was gone. The team grew uneasy, the line between reality and illusion blurring. The whispers became clearer, forming words, sentences, pleas for help. They were the voices of the ship's long-dead crew and passengers, trapped in an endless loop of their final moments. Lara, driven by a mix of fear and fascination, pushed the team to explore the captain's quarters. There, they found the ship's log, its pages yellowed but legible. The entries spoke of a strange phenomenon, a mist that had enveloped the ship, distorting time and driving the crew to madness. The final entry was a desperate plea from the captain, warning of a curse upon the ship, a force that bound them to this watery grave. He spoke of a choice to enter the mist, to escape their doomed fate, but at a cost too terrible to bear. As Lara read the words, the ship groaned around them, a mournful sound that resonated through their bones. The whispers crescendoed into screams, the apparitions becoming more frequent, more tangible. In a moment of clarity, Lara realized they had to leave, to escape the ship's grip before it dragged them into its eternal torment. They raced back to the exit, the ship seemingly warping around them, corridors twisting into impossible angles. As they ascended, the voices faded, the apparitions dissolved, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. They reached the surface, gasping for air, their minds reeling from the experience. Back on their boat, Lara looked at the pocket watch, now still and silent. The hands pointed to a time that had long since passed. She realized then that the ship, its whispers, and its ghosts were echoes of a tragic past, trapped beneath the waves. The team never spoke of what they saw, each carrying their own burden of the experience. The shipwreck remained at the bottom of the ocean, its whispers lost in the depths, a haunting reminder of the fine line between reality and the echoes of history. Sirens of the deep. In the vast, uncharted waters of the ocean, there existed a solitary research facility. This floating beacon of science was home to Dr. Simon Hayes, a renowned marine biologist, and his dedicated assistant, Ava. Their mission was to unlock the mysteries of the deep, but they were about to encounter a mystery that defied all logic. The facility, a maze of laboratories and living quarters, bobbed gently on the ocean's surface. It was a speck of humanity in the immense, untamed sea. Simon and Ava spent their days and nights listening to the sounds of the ocean, recording and analyzing its every whisper and roar. One day, a series of low, melodic sounds captivated them. These were not the usual calls of whales or the songs of dolphins. They were different, ethereal, and haunting. The sounds seemed to resonate not just through their equipment, but through the very walls of the facility. Simon, ever the scientist, was fascinated. Ava, however, felt an inexplicable sense of unease. The sounds were too structured, too intentional. It was as if something was communicating, reaching out from the depths of the ocean. As they delved deeper into the analysis, strange occurrences began to unfold on the facility. Tools went missing, only to be found in impossible places. Doors slammed shut without any wind. The once clear communications with the mainland became distorted, filled with static and unfamiliar voices. Ava's unease grew into fear. She confided in Simon, but he dismissed her concerns, attributing them to the isolation and stress of their work. But deep down, he too felt a gnawing apprehension, a sense that they were meddling with forces beyond their understanding. One night, the facility was jolted by a sudden, violent tremor. Simon and Ava rushed to the control room, only to find their equipment going haywire. The screens flickered with images of colossal, shadowy figures moving beneath them. Then they heard it, a siren's call, beautiful and terrifying. It wasn't coming from the speakers but from the ocean itself. The sound enveloped them, pulling them towards the deck. As they stepped outside, they were met with a sight that chilled them to their bones. Rising from the ocean were beings of myth and legend, the Sirens. Their eyes glowed like bioluminescent lanterns, and their songs were a tapestry of longing and sorrow. Simon and Ava realized too late that their research had awakened these ancient creatures. The Sirens had been lured by the facility's intrusion into their domain, and now they sought to reclaim what was theirs. The siren's song intensified, weaving a spell over the facility. Simon and Ava felt their wills slipping away, their minds entranced by the haunting melody. They stood at the edge of the deck, ready to plunge into the depths below. In a moment of lucidity, Ava remembered a device they had developed, a sonic emitter that could replicate oceanic sounds. With the last ounce of her strength, she staggered to the control room and activated the device, setting it to emit a frequency that countered the siren's song. The effect was immediate. The siren's melody fractured, their spell broken. They let out a piercing cry, a sound of anger and despair, before slipping back into the ocean's embrace. Simon and Ava collapsed to the floor, their minds reeling from the encounter. They had survived, but the experience had changed them. They knew now that the ocean was more than a body of water. It was a living, breathing entity, ancient and powerful. The facility was abandoned soon after. Simon and Ava returned to the mainland, their story a blend of scientific discovery and cautionary tale. They spoke of the sirens as a natural phenomenon, a unique species yet to be understood. But in their hearts, they knew the truth, that some mysteries of the deep were meant to remain hidden, whispered only in the ocean's enigmatic language. The Leviathan's Curse. In the heart of the unforgiving ocean, far from the safety of land, the deep-sea fishing vessel Mariana plowed through the waves. Captain Mark Thompson, a grizzled seafarer with salt in his veins, commanded the vessel. His crew, a tight-knit group seasoned by the harshness of the sea, were on a routine expedition. But the ocean, as they would soon discover, had other plans. The Mariana was well-equipped, her nets vast and her hull sturdy. The crew, though hardened by their trade, respected the sea and its unpredictable nature. Tales of sea monsters and giant leviathans were common in seafaring lore, but to them they were just stories, nothing more. The first sign of something amiss came one foggy dawn. The crew hauled up their nets, expecting a bountiful catch. Instead, they found them shredded, as if clawed by gigantic talons. Unease spread among the men, but Captain Thompson, ever the pragmatist, dismissed it as an unfortunate encounter with a whale or a large shark. As night fell, the ocean grew restless. The crew sensed a presence, an unseen force lurking beneath the waves. The ship's sonar picked up an enormous, unidentifiable shape moving at great speed. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. The calm of the sea was shattered when the creature revealed itself. Rising from the depths was a beast of mythic proportions, its scales glistening in the moonlight. It was the Leviathan, a creature spoken of in hushed tones by old sailors, a being as ancient as the sea itself. Panic ensued. The Leviathan circled the Mariana, its enormous eyes fixed on the vessel. The crew, armed with nothing but their wits and will to survive, prepared for a battle they knew they were unlikely to win. Captain Thompson, realizing the gravity of their situation, formulated a desperate plan. They would lure the creature away from the ship using a spare lifeboat and a flare, giving them time to make a run for it. It was a long shot, but it was all they had. As the lifeboat was deployed, the Leviathan's attention shifted. Its massive tail, capable of capsizing the ship with a single swipe, thrashed dangerously close. The crew held their breath, praying their ruse would work. The plan, however, only served to enrage the beast. With a deafening roar, it attacked the ship, its jaws wide enough to swallow them whole. The Mariana rocked violently, water flooding the deck. The crew fought to stay afloat, their hopes sinking with each passing moment. In the midst of the chaos, an old crew member, Jonah, revealed a shocking truth. He spoke of the Leviathan's curse, a tale passed down in his family. The creature, he claimed, was the ocean's guardian, awakened by the greed and recklessness of those who plundered the sea. They were paying the price for humanity's neglect. The revelation struck a chord in Captain Thompson. He realized that their battle was not just against the Leviathan but against the consequences of their own actions. With newfound resolve, he rallied his crew. They would not go down without a fight. Using the ship's remaining flares and some quick maneuvering, they managed to distract the Leviathan long enough to steer the Mariana towards a nearby storm. The turbulent waters, they hoped, would give them cover. The plan was a gamble, but it worked. The Leviathan, confused by the storm's ferocity, lost track of the ship. The Mariana, battered but still afloat, emerged on the other side of the storm, the creature nowhere in sight. The crew's relief was palpable, but their victory was bittersweet. The encounter with the Leviathan had changed them. They had looked into the eyes of nature's wrath and survived, but the cost of their survival was a stark reminder of the delicate balance they had disrupted. Captain Thompson steered the Mariana back to port, the journey home a time for reflection. The ocean around them seemed different now, its mysteries deeper, its anger palpable. The Leviathan's curse was not just a tale of survival, it was a warning. A warning that the sea, while bountiful, was not inexhaustible. That its depths held not just fish and folklore, but guardians of a world we scarcely understood. The crew of the Mariana would continue to sail the seas, but their outlook had changed. They knew now that the ocean was not just a resource to be exploited, but a living entity to be respected. And somewhere, in the depths below, the Leviathan watched, its curse a reminder of the price of greed and the importance of coexisting with the wonders of the deep. Whispers beneath the waves. Emily had always been drawn to the sea. Its vastness held secrets she longed to understand. So, when the opportunity arose to become the keeper of a remote lighthouse on a rocky island, she didn't hesitate. The lighthouse, a towering sentinel against the relentless sea, was her solitary refuge. The island was a sliver of land, barely resisting the ocean's embrace. The lighthouse stood at its heart, its light a steady pulse in the encroaching darkness. Emily's days were spent maintaining the lighthouse and walking along the craggy shores, her only companions the seagulls and the whispering wind. But soon, the whispering wasn't just the wind. It began one stormy night, as the waves crashed against the island with furious intensity. Amidst the cacophony of the storm, Emily heard it, a faint, melodious whisper like a distant conversation. She shook it off as a trick of the wind, but the whispers persisted. Night after night, growing clearer, more insistent. Curiosity turned to unease. The whispers were not just sounds but voices, calling her name, beckoning her to the water's edge. Emily tried to ignore them, but they seeped into her dreams, a siren call that pulled her towards the sea. Determined to understand, Emily delved into the island's history. She discovered tales of a shipwreck off the coast, a tragedy long forgotten. The whispers, she realized, were the voices of those lost to the sea, trapped beneath the waves. As the days passed, Emily's fascination grew into an obsession. She spent her nights at the shore, listening to the voices, trying to decipher their messages. They spoke of sadness and longing, of lives cut short by the merciless sea. Then the apparitions began. Ghostly figures, translucent and sorrowful, appeared on the island. They wandered the shores, reaching out to Emily, their eyes filled with an eternal grief. She realized these were the spirits of the shipwreck, bound to the place of their demise. The line between the living and the dead blurred. Emily felt a kinship with these lost souls, a shared loneliness. They, like her, were isolated, forgotten by the world. She spent her nights with them, listening to their stories, their regrets, their unfulfilled desires. One night, the spirits led her to a hidden cove, where the remnants of the shipwreck lay buried in the sand. There, half submerged in the water, was an old, rusted locket. Emily reached for it, her fingers brushing against the cold metal. Inside, she found a photograph of a young woman, her features hauntingly familiar. A rush of memories flooded Emily. The woman in the photograph was her mother, lost to the sea before Emily was born. The realization hit her like a wave. She was connected to this place, to these spirits, by a bond forged in tragedy. The spirits' whispers grew urgent, their message clear. They sought release, a chance to move on from their watery grave. Emily knew what she had to do. She climbed to the top of the lighthouse, the locket clasped tightly in her hand. As the light of the lighthouse swept over the sea, Emily opened the locket, releasing its contents into the wind. A profound silence enveloped the island, the whispers ceasing, the apparitions fading into the night. The sea calmed, its waves gently caressing the shore. Emily felt a sense of peace, a closure she hadn't known she needed. The spirits were gone, their voices silenced, but their memory lingered, a reminder of the delicate veil between life and death. Emily continued her vigil at the lighthouse, her gaze often drifting to the horizon where the sea met the sky. The whispers beneath the waves were silent, but their echoes remained, a haunting melody that bound her to the island, to the spirits she had set free. And so, the lighthouse stood, a lonely guardian amidst the endless sea, its light a beacon for those navigating the treacherous waters, a symbol of hope amidst the vast, unfathomable ocean. Emily, the keeper of the light, watched over it all, her heart forever intertwined with the whispers beneath the waves. The depths below. Commander Sarah Jensen had always been fascinated by the mysteries of the deep sea. Now, at the helm of the high-tech submarine Ulysses, she and her elite crew were about to dive into one of the ocean's greatest secrets. The Ulysses was a marvel of modern engineering, equipped with the latest technology for deep-sea exploration. Its mission was to explore an uncharted part of the ocean, a dark abyss where sunlight dared not reach. As they descended, the water outside turned from blue to black, and the pressure mounted. The crew, a mix of seasoned veterans and eager young submariners, watched in awe as strange, bioluminescent creatures danced in the darkness outside their portholes. The awe turned to shock when the Ulysses lights revealed an unimaginable sight, an ancient underwater city. Its towering structures and elaborate architecture were unlike anything known to modern history. It was a discovery that could rewrite the books, a hidden civilization lost to the depths. Sarah ordered a careful approach. Their mission was to observe and learn, not to disturb. But as they navigated through the ghostly city, a sense of unease settled over the crew. The city felt alive, watching them with unseen eyes. The first sign of trouble came when the Ulysses systems began to malfunction. Lights flickered, navigation systems went haywire, and communication with the surface was lost. It was as if the city itself was rejecting their presence. Then they encountered the inhabitants. At first, they were mere shadows flitting between the buildings. But soon, the crew came face to face with the beings of this ancient world. They were humanoid but adapted to the ocean depths, with luminescent eyes and elongated limbs. The encounter was brief but tense. The beings conveyed a clear message: the crew was not welcome. Sarah, understanding the danger, ordered a retreat. But the city had other plans. The Ulysses was trapped, held in place by an unseen force. Panic set in among the crew. Some wanted to fight, others to negotiate. Sarah struggled to maintain order, knowing that any wrong move could spell their doom. As the crew debated their next course of action, they discovered the source of their troubles. A strange device, part of the city's ancient technology, was attached to the Ulysses' hull. It was sabotaging their systems, preventing their escape. Sarah and a team of divers set out to remove the device. The mission was perilous, the waters around the city teeming with its guardians. They moved stealthily, avoiding detection, reaching the device just as their air supplies were running low. The removal was successful, but it angered the city's inhabitants. They swarmed the Ulysses, their intentions clear. A battle ensued, a struggle for survival in the crushing depths. Sarah and her crew fought bravely, using the submarine's defenses to fend off the attackers. But it was a losing battle. The beings were too many, too powerful. In a moment of desperation, Sarah made a decision. She used the Ulysses' remaining power to cause a massive shockwave, creating a distraction that allowed them to break free from the city's grasp. The ascent was tense, the submarine damaged and barely functional. The crew worked tirelessly, fixing systems, navigating blindly, holding their breath as they rose through the dark waters. Finally, they emerged into the sunlight, the surface a welcome sight. They had escaped, but at a cost. The Ulysses was severely damaged, and the crew was shaken, their minds haunted by what they had seen. Back on land, Sarah faced a moral dilemma. Reporting their discovery could lead to the exploitation of the ancient city, its secrets plundered, its inhabitants disturbed. Keeping it a secret meant holding back a discovery of monumental importance. In the end, Sarah chose to protect the city. She reported the Ulysses lost, its mission a failure. The ocean's secrets would remain hidden, its ancient mysteries preserved. The depths below was a tale of curiosity and discovery, a reminder that some secrets are best left untouched. For Sarah and her crew, the ocean would always be a place of wonder and fear, its depths holding a civilization that time forgot, a world where the past and the present collided in the endless blue. Tidal Shadows. In the quaint coastal town of Seaview, an air of mystery lingered like the fog that rolled in from the sea. The town, known for its scenic beaches and charming streets, had become the center of a terrifying phenomenon: deadly tides that struck without warning. Mia, a determined local journalist with a keen interest in Seaview's history, had noticed a pattern in these tides. They were not just natural disasters, they seemed almost intentional, leaving destruction in their wake. Teaming up with Tom, a marine scientist fascinated by the anomalies of the tides, they embarked on a quest to uncover the truth. The duo delved into the town's archives, unearthing ancient folklore about the tides. Legends spoke of a shadowy entity, a guardian of the sea, angered by the townspeople's disregard for nature. Mia and Tom were skeptical but intrigued. Could these old tales hold the key to understanding the tides? As they investigated, the tides grew more frequent, more destructive. Houses near the shore were swept away, and fear gripped the heart of Seaview. The once bustling beaches were now deserted, the sea viewed as a treacherous foe. Mia and Tom witnessed the devastation firsthand, reporting and studying the aftermath of each tide. Evidence pointed to something unnatural, a force beyond the normal ebb and flow of the sea. The patterns matched the folklore too closely to be a coincidence. Their research led them to an ancient site on the outskirts of town, where the ruins of a centuries-old temple lay forgotten. Inscriptions on the temple walls depicted the guardian of the sea, a mythical creature that controlled the tides. The legends were more than stories, they were warnings. As they pieced together the puzzle, the town prepared for the biggest tide yet. The air was tense, the sky darkened, and the sea roared with impending fury. Mia and Tom knew they were running out of time. They discovered that the temple was a sacred place, a bond between the townspeople and the sea guardian. But the bond had been broken, the temple neglected. To stop the tides, they needed to restore the guardian's trust, to show that the people of Seaview respected the sea once more. With the help of the townsfolk, Mia and Tom set out to repair the temple, to perform the ancient rites that had been forgotten. The town united, understanding that their survival depended on mending the bond with nature. The tide approached, towering and unstoppable. The duo worked tirelessly, repairing the temple's altar, reciting the old chants. The townspeople watched from a safe distance, their hearts pounding with hope and fear. As the tide neared, the air shimmered, and the guardian of the sea appeared. It was a majestic and terrifying sight, a creature of water and shadow, its eyes reflecting the depth of the ocean. The townspeople gasped, realizing the legends were true. Mia and Tom stood their ground, showing no fear. They continued the rites, their voices steady. The guardian watched, its gaze piercing and ancient. Then, as the final chant was spoken, the tide halted, the sea calmed. The guardian looked at Mia, Tom, and the townspeople, a silent understanding passing between them. The bond was restored, the respect for nature renewed. The guardian faded into the sea, the tide receding with it. Seaview was safe, the catastrophe averted. The townspeople cheered, relief washing over them like a gentle wave. Mia and Tom had not only solved the mystery of the tides, but had also brought the town closer to its roots, to a time when folklore and respect for nature were intertwined. They had shown that the power of the sea was not to be taken lightly, that the ancient wisdom of their ancestors held truths worth heeding. Tidal Shadows became a tale of suspense and discovery, a reminder of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. The people of Seaview learned to live in harmony with the sea, respecting its power and heeding its guardian's silent watch. And Mia and Tom, once mere observers, became the bridge between the old world and the new, guardians of a truth as timeless as the sea itself. Beneath the moonlit surface, in a secluded corner of the world, there was a bay whose waters glowed under the moonlight, a natural wonder that drew visitors from far and wide. Among them were Laura, a passionate marine photographer, and her partner Alex, an experienced diver. Together, they ventured into the bay's bioluminescent depths, eager to capture its ethereal beauty. The bay at night was a mesmerizing spectacle. The water shimmered with a ghostly blue light, each movement creating a burst of luminescence. Laura and Alex, equipped with their diving gear and underwater cameras, descended into this glowing world, a realm of beauty and mystery. As they explored the underwater landscape, their lights revealed the vibrant marine life that thrived in the bay. Schools of fish glided through the water, their bodies adorned with glowing patterns. Corals pulsed with a soft light, creating a dreamscape that left Laura and Alex in awe. Their wonder, however, was short-lived. As they ventured deeper, they stumbled upon an ancient relic partially buried in the sand. It was an old, ornate chest, its surface covered in strange symbols that seemed to absorb the light around it. The sight of it sent a chill down their spines, a stark contrast to the bay's warm glow. Compelled by curiosity, they approached the chest. The moment Laura's hand touched its surface, the waters around them stirred. The bioluminescence intensified, casting eerie shadows that danced along the ocean floor. Suddenly, the marine life began to change. Fish that once swam gracefully now moved erratically, their glowing patterns flickering wildly. The corals retracted, their lights dimming as if in fear. The bay, once a haven of beauty, had turned into a scene of horror. Laura and Alex felt a presence, a malevolent force that seemed to emanate from the chest. They realized too late that they had awakened something ancient, something that should have remained undisturbed. The water around them grew colder, the glowing light now a menacing glimmer. Shapes moved in the shadows, forms too large and too strange to be any known marine creature. They were surrounded, trapped in the glowing depths. In a desperate bid for survival, Laura and Alex swam towards the surface. But the creatures were fast, their movements swift and predatory. Alex was caught first, his scream muffled by the water as he was dragged into the darkness. Laura, her heart pounding with terror, pushed on, her lungs burning for air. She reached the surface, gasping, her mind reeling from the loss of Alex. The bay was calm above, its beauty a deceitful mask for the nightmare that lurked below. She swam to the shore, her body trembling, the chest's haunting image etched into her mind. On land, she collapsed, her breaths coming in ragged sobs. The moonlight bathed her in a pale glow, a stark reminder of the horror beneath the surface. The next day, the bay was closed off. Divers searched for Alex but found no trace of him or the mysterious creatures. Laura told her story, but it was met with skepticism. The bay returned to its peaceful state, its waters once again inviting and serene. But Laura knew the truth. She had seen the darkness that dwelled in the depths, the malevolent force that had claimed Alex. The bay's beauty was but a facade, hiding a terror that defied explanation. Beneath the moonlit surface became a tale of warning, a story of the unseen horrors that lay in the depths of the natural world. Laura never returned to the bay, her fascination with its waters replaced by a lingering fear. The relic remained a mystery, its origins and purpose lost to the depths, a reminder of the thin line between wonder and terror. The ocean's echo. Far from the shores, amidst the vast expanse of the ocean, floated a state-of-the-art research station, Aquatica. Dr. Rebecca Ford, a renowned oceanographer, led her dedicated team in a groundbreaking study. Their mission was to unravel the mysteries of the deep sea, a frontier more alien than the surface of the moon. The station, a marvel of modern engineering, was equipped with advanced sonar equipment, laboratories, and living quarters for the crew. The team, a mix of scientists and technicians, shared a passion for the ocean's secrets. Their focus shifted when the station's sonar picked up an unusual sound emanating from the depths of the ocean. It was a low, rhythmic pulse, unlike any marine animal call they had recorded before. Intrigued, Dr. Ford and her team set out to decode this mysterious echo. As they delved into the analysis, the sound's complexity astounded them. It had a pattern, almost musical, yet alien in its composition. It seemed to be calling out from the abyss, a siren song from the ocean's heart. Strange occurrences began to unfold on Aquatica. Instruments malfunctioned, displaying bizarre readings. Shadows flickered in the corners of the station's cameras, and the crew reported hearing whispers echoing through the corridors at night. The station, once a beacon of scientific discovery, had taken on an ominous air. Undeterred, Dr. Ford pressed on with the investigation. The team discovered that the sound was ancient, possibly as old as the ocean itself. It resonated at a frequency that seemed to interact with the water in unusual ways, creating patterns that defied the laws of physics. One night, as the sound intensified, a startling revelation came to light. The station's biologist, Dr. Emily Chang, discovered an ancient scripture hidden in the station's library. It spoke of an ancient aquatic entity, a guardian of the deep sea, known to ancient mariners as the Leviathan. The team was skeptical, but as they cross-referenced the scripture with their data, the pieces began to fit. The sound was a call of the Leviathan, an echo from a time when humans revered the mysteries of the ocean. Fear and fascination gripped the crew. The station had awakened something primal, something that had lain dormant in the depths. Dr. Ford realized their pursuit of knowledge had crossed a forbidden threshold. The climax came when the sound reached its peak. Aquatica trembled as the sea around it churned. From the abyss rose the Leviathan, a colossal creature of myth and legend. Its eyes glowed like bioluminescent lanterns in the dark water, and its presence sent shockwaves through the station. The team watched in awe and horror as the creature circled Aquatica. It was a being of another era, a reminder of the ocean's ancient and untamed nature. Dr. Ford knew they had to appease the Leviathan. In a daring move, she broadcast a message into the sea, an apology to the creature, a plea for forgiveness for their intrusion. The team waited with bated breath as the Leviathan drew closer, its massive form dwarfing the station. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the Leviathan receded into the depths, its call fading into a whisper. Aquatica was left unscathed, but the encounter had changed everything. The team abandoned the station, their research incomplete. They returned to land with a new respect for the ocean's mysteries. Dr. Ford spoke of their experience, warning of the dangers of human overreach, of disturbing forces beyond our understanding. The ocean's echo became a tale of caution, a reminder of the ancient powers that lie hidden in the ocean's heart. Dr. Ford and her team had sought knowledge, but they found a truth more profound, that some mysteries are best left undisturbed, echoing in the depths, where the past and present merge in the eternal blue. The seas forgotten. In the vast, open sea, far from the bustling harbors and cozy shores, drifted an enigma, a massive cruise ship, the SS Orion, abandoned and forgotten. Its once grand decks and opulent hulls were now silent, hosting only the whispers of its mysterious past. Jack, a seasoned adventurer known for his fascination with the forgotten and the unexplained, assembled a team of explorers to unveil the secrets of the Orion. The ship had become a legend, disappearing 30 years ago only to reappear, adrift and lifeless. As their boat neared the ghostly vessel, a chill ran down their spines. The Orion loomed like a specter, its once gleaming surface now tarnished by rust and sea spray. The team, equipped with cameras and gear, boarded the ship with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The ship was eerily preserved. Tables were set as if for a meal, personal belongings lay scattered, and the air was filled with a heavy silence. The team split up to document the ship, unaware of the eyes that watched them from the shadows. It wasn't long before strange occurrences began. Doors slammed shut on their own, cold drafts swept through the hallways, and faint echoes of music and laughter drifted through the air. The atmosphere grew tense as the team realized they were not alone. Jack stumbled upon the ship's log, its pages yellowed with age. The entries revealed a tale of tragedy, a voyage that turned to disaster, a mysterious illness that swept through the passengers, and a crew desperate to return to shore. But the ship never made it back. It vanished into the sea. The explorers regrouped, unsettled by their findings. They decided to leave, but the ship had other plans. The corridors twisted and turned, leading them in circles. It was as if the Orion refused to release them from its grip. Then they saw them, the spirits of the ship's past passengers. They were spectral figures, trapped in an endless loop of their final moments. Some wandered the decks, forever searching for a way home. Others relived their last, agonizing days, their ghostly faces etched with sorrow and pain. The team, gripped by fear, realized the truth. They were in the presence of the Orion's forgotten souls, the victims of its tragic voyage. The ship was a floating tomb, a prison for the spirits unable to find peace. As night fell, the hauntings intensified. The specters grew more restless, their whispers louder, their apparitions more vivid. The explorers found themselves trapped in a nightmare, the ship a maze from which there was no escape. Jack, driven by a determination to free his team, devised a desperate plan. They would find the ship's heart, the engine room, and restart the engines. Perhaps the motion of the ship, the semblance of a journey's continuation, would appease the spirits. Navigating the haunted corridors, they encountered the lost souls of the Orion. Each spirit told a story of dreams unfulfilled, of journeys cut short. The explorers listened, their hearts heavy with the weight of the ship's sorrow. In the engine room, amidst the decay and rust, they worked to bring the ship back to life. The engines groaned and sputtered, a sound not heard in decades. The ship trembled, its lights flickering back to life. A howl erupted from the depths of the ship, a sound of anger and despair. The spirits swirled around them, a maelstrom of spectral energy. The ship began to move, cutting through the water with newfound purpose. As the Orion sailed, the spirits' wails diminished, their forms fading into the sea mist. The ship's curse was lifting, the forgotten souls finding the peace they had long been denied. As dawn broke, the team saw the shore on the horizon. The Orion, its journey complete, came to a gentle stop. The explorers disembarked, forever changed by their experience. They left the ship to its eternal rest, a monument to the seas forgotten. The Seas Forgotten became a story of adventure and horror, a reminder of the past's grip on the present. Jack and his team returned to their lives, but the echoes of the Orion's spirits lingered in their minds, a haunting melody of a tragedy at sea and the relentless pursuit of the unknown.